you all. I am feeling crazy town USA right now. It is 2:45. I have been in back-to-back meetings all day. I did not even have time for a lunch break. I made my soup and I ate it during a meeting. It has been a wild one, y'all, and I am brain fried, but I need to open up the video, so here I am. And I don't even know where to begin. I'm going to show you my knitting and show you where I'm at, because I have actually made a lot of progress in the last, well, it's not as much as I guess I am thinking now that I'm looking at it, but I was able to sneak some stitches in today. I called it an early night last night. I edited the video at like 5:30 so I could just eat a quick dinner. I ended up watching a couple of episodes of The Sinner on Netflix, which I'm really liking, but there are some scenes that have been a little graphic, and in my personal opinion, some of those things on television are unnecessary. I don't think they always add to the plot line, if you know what I'm saying. But I really have been enjoying it. So I did watch a couple of episodes last night and caught up on my knit. So I want to show you where I am with my Advent sock skeins, and then we'll open up today's Advent, and I think that might be it. I'm going to start by sharing my cozy knitter with you. I'm going to show you both socks. I still have, so this is day 1 and day 2 here, and this is the first sock, so I still need to do today's stripe on this, but I also did, during a meeting today, I was able to do today's stripe on the second sock. So if you haven't done day 3 stripe for some reason, now is your chance to look away. Look away. I'm showing the sock now. I hope you're not looking. This is today's stripe. So very pretty the way it's starting out. So those are my cozy knitter socks. If you're trying to avoid the day 3 spoiler, you can return now. The other thing I'm going to show you is my progress on my Woolens and Nosh sock. I got a comment on one of my Vlogmas videos. I don't know what day it is. It's December 3rd, so probably Vlogmas day 1. And I think somebody commented that they also got the Woolens and Nosh advent calendar. And I did not realize this, but apparently the socks don't all start on the same color stripe. And because of that, I'm not trying to be a spoiling girl. So I'm going to give a little disclaimer as I show those socks every day moving forward. If you are somebody who, for some reason, your color is not starting on the same day as mine, I'm not going to be descriptive about it. I'm not going to be a spoiler. I do not like when that happens to me, especially when it's like MCALs or yarn or anything like that. I don't want to be a spoiler. I don't want to be spoiled. So I'm not going to spoil you. That's my tangent. But before I show my colors, I am going to tell you, I decided to cast on the contrast color cuff, and I don't know where I was going with that. I'm so brain fried right now. Holy cow. I decided to cast on the contrast color cuff. I was able to get through the cuff and the first 2 stripes of the Woolens and Nosh sock last night, and I started the second cuff and I worked through it. So this is my second cuff. No spoilers yet, but I don't know how many rounds I have left on here. Let me count. So I have knit 18 rows of ribbing. I'm going to get to 25 and then I'll be able to do the stripes. I need to finish this ribbing today. There has been so much ribbed knitting in my life over the last 3 days. I'm sick of knitting knit 2 purl 2 ribbing. So I need to finish this because I want to get back to the stockinette. I am going to show you now where I am with my Woolens and Nosh sock. I'm only through day 2 on my skein, so if you don't want to be spoiled, look away. I'm showing my sock now, so you better not be looking. Look how pretty this is. I'm not going to share, I'm not going to say verbally the colors, but I am loving how this looks. I'm super excited to see what today's color is, so I can't wait to keep knitting on this, but I'm going to wait until I finish the ribbing on my second cuff to give myself the delight of seeing what today's color is on this other sock. So no more spoilers now, Woolens and Nosh knitters. You can return if you were avoiding it. Anyway, I was going to tell you something else about those socks. I did receive another comment the other day where somebody was doing self-striping Advent socks for the first time, and they weren't quite sure how to measure when to do the heel. And I will tell you that there's a couple of ways that people do these that I know. You can knit a toe-up sock and then knit the length of your foot and put the heel in where you know it's going to fit you. And that will be great. I do not knit my socks toe up. I don't know how. I knit my socks cuff down, and my preferred heel is a heel flap and gusset. Some people knit a sock tube and then learn an afterthought heel. What I have done historically in the past is I know how many rows it takes from the gusset decreases till the toe for me to finish a pair of socks. So what I do is once I start working on my leg, I count the number of rows that each stripe color has, and I use that to formulate how many rows per stripe. Is this making sense? I do the math. So for example, this Cozy Knitter sock has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, about 5 or 6 rows per color in my gauge. And I know that it takes me about 70 rounds from the gusset decreases to the toe on my foot. And so I do that math. So when I have done this in previous years, with the Cozy Knitter, I know that 12 socks, oh gosh, 12 rows are how many I need to complete my foot. So 12 rows, 12 stripes need to complete my foot. So that means the other 12 are on my leg. So that's how I do my math and figure out when to do my heel flap, or when to start my heel. So that is what I do. I hope that helps you. I hope that makes sense. So really you can knit your socks toe up. You could do cuff down and just knit a tube and finish the toe, and then learn how to do an afterthought heel, or you can do what I do and do the measurements. I'll show you my socks from a previous year. These are my Cozy Knitter socks from previous years. And again, I just did the math. So I know how many rows it takes for me. I counted how many rows per stripe. And you'll see it does get a little skinnier when you do the gusset decreases, but it doesn't really matter all that much, at least for my sock fitting preference. So that's all I do. So hopefully that helps you. I don't know which years they are. One of these was a couple years ago, and one of these was 3 years ago, but these were them. And yeah, that's all I did. So I just counted how many rows per stripe, and then I assumed that it would be that way for every stripe, and I just did the math to figure out how many stripes I needed on my foot, and that's how I decided when to start the heel. Sorry if that was a little repetitive, but that's what I do. And that is what I'm planning to do again this year. So I'm just going to keep going with my gauge to see what that looks like. And then I'll do the math, but I'm going to assume it is the way it has been in previous years, where I'm pretty sure I did 12 stripes for the leg and 12 stripes for the foot, if that makes sense. So that's what I do. That is what I'm planning to do again. But the beauty of knowing how to knit is that you can choose your own adventure. You can choose how to do it. You can choose how to make your things fit, and you can always frog back, even though we don't always love it, and fix it and make it the way that fits you, the way you like. That's it for Advent socks. I'm going to show you, we're going to open up day 3 here, which I'm very excited about. I'm excited to see if it's going to be still like the dark cobalt blue, or if it's going to start changing into something else. Not quite yet. Still pretty blue here. It's a little bit hard to tell to the naked eye. It does look like there's maybe, I don't know if you can tell here. Like you can kind of see this is a little bit lighter than this. So it's got a little bit of, I don't want to call it variegation, but love this blue. Okay, so it is much later now. I have survived my day. I actually am browning ground beef. I'm making dinner. I actually ended up working a little bit later than I anticipated, but it is just about 6:30, and I decided that I'm going to be making a no-boil mushroom stroganoff bake for dinner tonight. I bought the ingredients for it. Most of them we had on hand, but I bought a couple things in my grocery haul this week for this. I will link the recipe down below. It is actually from a vegan food blogger called From My Bowl. I think the girl is actually originally from the Pittsburgh area, but fun fact, was a vegetarian and a vegan for quite a few years when I was in college and in my early 20s. I'm no longer a vegetarian or vegan, but I have made this recipe the vegan way before, and I have adapted it to be non-vegan, and I'm trying it with ground beef tonight. So I'm going to finish browning the ground beef here, and I've got my oven preheating to 425, and all of my other ingredients are prepped. So I'm going to finish this, and then I will show you how I am making this vegan recipe a non-vegan recipe, and we should have plenty of leftovers. My goal is for us to have enough leftovers of this that my husband can take it for lunch the rest of the week. So let's make this dish. So I have my ingredients prepped here. Again, I will link the recipe in the description below, but I'm going to tell you what I am using so you can see like the non-vegan substitutes, but feel free to use the vegan version if that's what you would like to try or prefer. Super easy, and it's very delish. I've got parsley chopped up here for a garnish, mushrooms and onions that I have sliced. I have about 225 grams of pasta. It calls for rotini, but I just had this noodle shape on hand. I'm using regular pasta. I think the recipe calls for a chickpea or a brown rice pasta, which I have used both of those before and it still comes out delicious, but this is just what I have on hand today, so I'm using regular pasta. Calls for some lemon juice. I'm using sour cream instead of cashew cream. I'm probably going to add a little bit of this garlic powder, black pepper, and then it calls for nutritional yeast. But I don't have any of that, so I'm just going to use Parmesan cheese to give it a little bit more of that like umami flavor. I also have some beef broth. I had some bouillon cubes, which is not always my preference, but I had them, so that's what I'm going to use. It also calls for white wine, but I didn't have any, so I'm just subbing more beef broth for that. I'm trying to think what else. I think that's all. So the beauty of this dish is you just mix everything in it and cover it up with foil and bake it in the oven. So if you're not using ground beef like I am, it's really like a very minimally prepped recipe. You could easily buy pre-sliced mushrooms and grab all these things and just dump and go. So I'm going to start by adding my sour cream to my 9 by 13 inch dish. I am an eyeballer. I'm measuring with my heart, not exactly what it calls for. So I am going to add some of that, and then it says to whisk it with the wine, but I'm going to use a little bit of broth here. So we're going to whisk this together. Okay, and now you can see how creamy it is. So now that it's like this kind of watered down creamy texture, I'm going to add the rest of my broth here. I'm going to add a little bit of garlic powder here too. It doesn't call for it, but I feel like you can't go wrong with garlic. black pepper. Again, I'm gonna measure with my heart and fresh crack it here. Okay, that's good enough. And then this is where you would add the nutritional yeast as well, but I'm just gonna grate up some Parmesan cheese here. I don't think you need that much, but who doesn't love a little bit extra cheese? So again, measure with your heart. It's probably enough. So now I'm gonna mix this together here. And now I'm gonna add my pasta, my onions and mushrooms, and my browned ground beef. I seasoned this with salt, pepper, garlic powder, and then I did add a little bit of Worcestershire sauce. Worcestershire, wash your sister, whatever you call it. And now we're just going to very gently mix this together until everything is submerged in the liquid. So now I've got this mixed up and submerged in the liquid as best as I can. I actually added a little bit of half and half because I was nervous it wasn't going to be enough liquid for some of these pasta noodles. So now that I've got everything as flat as possible, I'm going to cover it with tin foil, put it in the oven, bake it covered for about 40 minutes, and then I'm going to check it and it should be close to done. My timer has went off. It's been 40 minutes since this has been in the oven. While I was waiting for this to bake, I went upstairs and I got through maybe 75% of today's video editing. It sounds very hot. Can you see it bubbling? This is the first time I've actually ever made this with the ground beef. Oh yeah, it looks pretty good. It smells good. At this point, I am supposed to add in the lemon juice. So I just squeezed half a lemon. I'm also gonna add some more cheese because who doesn't love more cheese? Got my handful of parsley here. Just gonna add that in. I'm gonna add, again, a little more Parmesan. And I might add another spoonful of sour cream just to thicken it up a little bit more. Because I don't know about you, but I'm somebody who really, really likes a super saucy pasta. Doesn't matter what the dish is. But, yep, whether you make this vegan or vegetarian or not, I really don't think you can go wrong with this recipe at all. So delish, super easy. Oh yeah, smells amazing. Can you hear it? I guess it would be nice if I showed you what it looked like. It's honestly not the most beautiful thing I've ever made, but it is deelish. Here she is in all her glory. So noodles, beautifully cooked. Veggies, beautifully cooked. You got a protein in there. Very customizable, very delicious. I am going to make a bowl of this for myself, take it upstairs, finish editing this video, and I will see you all tomorrow in another day of Vlogmas here on the Krafty Kristina YouTube channel. All right, see you tomorrow. Bye, guys.